Okay, and we're live. I'm here today with myself, Brian, and Rafael, and we're discussing about introducing service-oriented refactoring pattern into Website 1. Um, yeah, right. So let's continue our discussion. Yes.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, at the moment, I'm just concerned about the how the naming is because, well, at the moment, I am working with a very like for my day job, I'm working with a very large legacy Rails application, and they have lots of different, different things in the application. One of them is they follow the Rails the Rails naming convention. So I see things like app services, and then events underscore creator underscore services, things like that, and they have a lot of other things like decorators, factories, and you know different things. So I think this having it named event creator service will help not only distinguish it as a service, um, but also avoid any naming conflicts when you want to have something like an event creator factory or other something else.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
why I use a namespace for it, so we can reuse the same name. Like we could have something like events slash creator service, and also we could have let's say um, let me articles, also articles creator, and we can reuse the same name because they won't be in the same namespace. Um, I don't know if you
But
read the article that the
oh
other
yeah,
article.
I think yes, I think he just has a general like he's generally against managers.
No,
Didn't
no,
seem like he was against.
no. I wasn't talking about the coding horror one. If you
Uh-huh.
scroll up,
Yeah.
no, that's not the one. If you scroll up in the comments,
Okay. Which
there
one?
are, yeah, scroll up a little bit up. There is another comment. Um,
Uh,
I think you lost it. Let me search for it. Wait. And
yeah.
also, if you can check this course structure for their service layer, they doesn't use any Rails convention for
Yeah, I think
working
well,
with services.
discourse.
Check out the also the blog post.
hmm Discourse serializes. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just a matter of preference, really, whether or not we follow the Rails convention, whether we want to append services or not. But I personally think it's a good convention to follow. And yeah, I mean, there's no reason not to. I guess if like badge grantor, you know that this is definitely unique for the entire application. Well, at least they're appending serializes here.
I think they are appending serializers because that's
Yeah,
what
serializer is definitely
it,
a problem for, I
no,
mean, causes name,
serialize. Yeah, sure.
yeah, name clashing.
Serializer was generated by Rails. That's why they have that name. That's why
Okay.
the services it doesn't matter if you put on the underscore service.
Mm-hmm.
Rails is those conventions because they use generators to follow their own structure and use conventional
Okay.
configuration. But
Yep.
in the case of the services, it doesn't matter what you do with it. If you can check
Yeah.
the other link that I paste in the chat, you will see the other structure that I was talking about, the use cases one. And I think that also is another good structure for a project because it shows from any point of view, if you see the structure of the directory structure of the application, you can see what this exact class you do what in any case. So if you can see service object with very many responsibilities, um,
Mm-hmm.
he explained what I meant.
Right.
Check
Mm-hmm.
that he have reverse accounts even when River already have an account model, they have accounts to have all the use cases that do things with accounts inside
Mm-hmm.
that namespace, and then they have nouns. Sorry, they have birth instead of nouns inside it. Forgot password or finalize checkout stuff like that.
Okay. Um, yeah, well, in this case, they have a top level, namespace for their application, which,
Exactly.
yeah, makes it a bit more acceptable. But, well, in your pull request, at least, you didn't include that.
No,
Well, I think,
I didn't include it at the end in my pull request, but I suggested
yep.
after your comment,
Oh,
I
yes,
yeah,
yes.
I suggested the same thing in there.
Down, yep, down there. Right. Yep. I think it is really a matter of preference whether or not you want to have the name with service appended to it, or whether you want to use everything under a certain, like a namespace, reverb, counts, forgot password, things like that. So it is a matter of preference. Hmm.
I always think that it's better to namespace everything. I don't know why normally we Ruby developers are scared of using namespace most of the time, but I think it's better to have to namespace most of things,
Yeah.
and that will help you to not have collisions and not have a lot of classes with big names to refer to inside your application.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's no problem with namespacing things. Um, I'm just worried about how people might take this. John, in fact, you're listening in.
Hmm.
What do you think?
I can't really weigh in on namespacing or no.
Yeah, well, I think let me give you an idea of what we're talking about. We're looking at the refactor events controller
Yep.
story here, and yeah, I think the controversial issue is this here: events, creator. Um, what I was thinking is this, having something at least in the top level called events, and then having another thing called event model. It's a little confusing when there are two separate things, especially when this is supposed to be a service. So my suggestion is name it something like events creator service. That's following the Rails convention of ending all the class names with the like the category of the object or something. And
Yep. I'm
he
looking at the
suggests
directory structure. Isn't that what you have though? App services events? Or are you saying because there's app services events and then app models events, that part is confusing?
um, app services. Yeah, I think that. Well, it's just that the class name doesn't reflect the directory structure at the moment.
The class
That's what
name
I
doesn't
think.
reflect the directory structure.
Mm, well, it sort of does, but um, I I mean, what I wanted to have was the class name being called something like events creator service, and Raphael's suggestion was to have it called well, instead of having it events, double colon creator, we will have a top level namespace called website one for the application, and have it
Hmm.
called website one double colon events double colon creator.
Hmm.
Yeah. So what do you think, like, as a developer?
Honestly, I don't think I can provide opinion on this. I would be fine with either way. Neither
Mhm.
raises my hackles. I'm just actually
Okay.
marveling over the use of lambdas here, callbacks. I've never seen that before, and I like it. Never seen that in Ruby, of course.
Hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
what,
It's
John?
cool. The
What?
on success and on failure lambda.
Oh
That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah. You already work with me on something similar. The only thing that you are seeing different is that I am not calling a listener.
Yeah,
I just wanted to remove all those methods that we have to route inside a controller. I
right.
just pass it. Yeah, yeah. So
So you don't have to write little private methods for every single
exactly,
thing. Yeah, yeah.
exactly. Yeah, it's kind of JavaScript, but it's look good.
Yeah, as long as it's not a complex method, it makes more sense to just keep it in line there.
Exactly. Hi
As
guys.
far as namespacing, I have no clue. It would be something. I like both ideas of having. Like honestly, I don't mind the double colons. Uh,
Okay. Yeah. I think the issue is, well, what I'm thinking is maybe in the long run, we might want to introduce a different pattern in that maybe needs an object that is also called events creator. How can we differentiate the two? Um,
It will be in another name in another namespace. So
mm,
if
but what
yeah,
sort of namespace would make sense? With the current
uh,
structure you have, you will have a
with
top level one for the application, which will be shared throughout the entire application. Then you
yeah,
have the module events, which is more it's directed towards a certain like a model, which that could also happen for any other pattern that we might introduce. And then the class inside creator, which is not a very unique name.
mm, so you wouldn't mind if
mm,
it actually was events events creator service, just
Yeah, I
to.
wouldn't really
Okay.
mind that, or even
now I
top level
mean
service or something.
Yeah.
that's not an unique name, but it will be inside the
Yeah.
models, the events namespace. In case that you find another use case that needs the
Yeah.
creator name better, you probably will switch this service name to another name.
This events module will be used for only services for the events model, or no, maybe
Yeah,
it won't.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. The events more namespace will be used for only use cases that implies the use of event stuff.
Hmm. Yeah, or anything that quacks like an event, really.
Mm-hmm.
It knows nothing about the actual model.
Mm.
In fact, we can at least, or also we can maybe try to use the top level website one namespace, and then
Hmm.
we can have the events namespace, and inside it all the use cases that relate are related to event. In that case,
Right.
we can use the website one directory inside the app directory instead of services. That could be another
Yeah.
way of structuring.
Oh, what if we want to introduce another pattern then? How are we gonna do that? Like I think there are plenty of other patterns that could find a use case when the application gets bigger. I know, well,
Yeah,
for a fact
but
that the application I'm working with has a lot of different patterns, like decorators and factories and things.
yeah,
Yeah,
what would be the problem with that?
because what if you have another use case for like, so what you're suggesting is having a top level namespace with the application name, which will be shared throughout the entire application. Then you'll have an inner namespace called events, which is specific to a certain model. None of those indicate what sort of uh, the pattern that you're using. Maybe
Mhm.
if services is the only thing we ever use, then that wouldn't be a problem. But I'm just worried that it's too generic having the application name and then something that's related to the model. and then the
No,
class directly inside.
that's not related to the model. That's related to a use case that
Yeah,
implies using of.
Raphael. But what he's
Yeah.
saying is we might have factories inside this module. We might have decorators inside this module in the future, you know? And then we don't know when we're looking at creator if creator is a service, a factory, or a decorator. And so if we
Yeah,
just
but
append the function in the name, it'll just keep us a little more flexible in the future.
yeah, a factory is something that's not related to Rails, so it could be inside the event's namespace. But a decorator, if you use Dropper or something like that, it
Mhm.
will. That's a gem that is part of Rails in particular. So that will be in app decorators outside of the business logic. The website one directory will only have business logic, entirely business logic. It won't depend on any gem outside of that particular theme. So if the future we want to just extract the entire business logic in its own gen, we can just take that directory out and test it in isolation without even touching Rails. So that's I don't know if you are following what I'm saying. You
No,
can
I
also
yeah, I
yeah.
completely understand. I'm not saying we should, make it, a part of Rails. This entire pattern is not, any part of the Rails framework at all. I'm just saying it's an issue of how we name the class at least. It has no direct, it doesn't
In the
make
case
any implies
yeah.
any. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think that a decorator will be a pattern that will
No,
collide
but
with this one. The
yeah,
decorator in particular.
that's just an example, right? But
Oh, yeah.
the service pattern just is relatively new and it's taken the Rails community by storm. But we won't know in the future. There might be another something else that might come along. I'm just saying, if something like that happens, it'll be very difficult to refactor everything, to accommodate a new uh, something like a different class with a different function.
In
If you know what I mean.
fact,
It's
yeah,
too
but
generic having website one events.
um, in fact, it will be easier to just refactor to another thing because you will have all the business logic in one place. It will be scattered inside
Yeah,
models or
I know,
controllers.
but then you have to rename everything. Uh, if the name is too confusing.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, it's just
And
it's
either
just
how would that work if we have to change if we have
like
app services if we have app services
right.
events underscore creator underscore service in that case we also will have to
Oh
rename
no.
and yeah.
Well, if it's already called service, then we know that distinguishes it from something else, like maybe a
Mhm.
concern. So, for example, if you want to include a event like a concern or something, if we ignore Rails default directories for concerns, um, how would you add that? Say you want to create like a concern that's being used by events, and then the way you structure the way you're structuring things right now, it will also end up going under website one and events, but then it'll be something else, like under
um
website one module events.
yeah,
Yeah,
a concern is part of Rails, so
yeah,
probably
yeah.
I
I
will.
know, but it's just an example.
Yeah, but in that case, I saw that you asked me how I would work on that, but in that case, I wouldn't put a concern inside the business logic.
Hmm.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I wouldn't do that. Also, I really don't think I really don't see the need of a concern in Rails. I don't know why it's enforced.
Hmm.
But yeah, I see what you mean. I mean.
Yeah,
That's just the website one top level namespace. Just a
right.
suggestion. We can go ahead with whatever suggestion you have. You say that you would like to have services events underscore creator underscore service.
Yeah,
Um,
we could do that, or maybe have the top level module being services, events, creator, or something. Either of those will good. It's just because I'm worried that this naming scheme has nothing that tells that this is directly related to the the first service pattern or the business logic, whatever you want to call it. hmm
yeah, but
It's a small issue, but
I
yeah,
mean,
this.
yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, this is a small issue, but this will dictate how we do all the other refactorings later on. So I want to try and get this, sorted out the first time, if possible.
Okay, but why can't we just write wiki pages about it? I mean, the service pattern is not a service pattern. This is an anti-corruption layer that we are building here. The service
hmm
pattern, I don't think that exists as a name. I mean, we are just abstracting ourselves from the framework, and that's all. People just put things. Some people put things in lib. Other people put things in service directory.
mm
But we can do whatever we want. Yeah, we just have
Right.
to write it down.
hmm I think that's not a problem as well, but I like it. I would like it better if we could, guess what the function of the class is just by looking at the name rather than having to refer to documentation, if you know what I mean. If at a
Sure.
glance it can give you enough information for you to, uh, guess what it's doing, then I think that's great without too much effort. It's not a huge change to the function. I mean, it has no effect on the function of the object. It's just a little tweak to the name, and then people who look at it, they know immediately what's going on without having to refer to
Cool.
documentation. Yeah,
Got it.
that's my
Okay. So, well, I think in that case we can use the app services. Then events underscore creator. That's what the name you want.
mm-hmm.
Okay.
Services. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, we can try that for a while, and then if we feel it's too cumbersome, sticking with that, we'll swap things around.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Well, yeah.
I can refactor this now.
hmm
I will let the service directory inside app, and then we'll rename this events namespace. The service name will be event underscore creator. Is that okay with you? Or do you
Mm,
want to have also the underscore service name in the class?
mm. Just try it with underscore service to begin with. I think we'll test it out with a few controllers and get a feel for whether or not it's too cumbersome, and then we can have a refactoring story to swap things around if we feel if this is unnecessary. If you know what I mean.
Okay,
Yeah, let's just
sure.
try and make it as obvious as possible first, and then
Okay,
try and get a couple of other developers to work on it and see what they think, and we can swap solutions around when we feel it's not really adding anything.
cool.
Yep, cool.
Yeah.
What do you think, John? Oh, Thomas, you're just
Yeah,
sitting there quietly listening.
yeah, I'm impressed by you guys. Taking such a gentleman like having such a great conversation. Uh, you know, uh, and I'm glad that you solved this, and I'm glad that we're moving forward. I'm confident in that you're making the right decision here.
hmm Cool. How long were you there, Thomas?
20 minutes,
You're awfully
something.
quiet.
Well, I tried to say something, but you were just probably I
Oh.
was just muted. So no, 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 never mind. I didn't have much to add. I mean, I stated my case, and you guys are much better on the than me on those issues. So what I'm concerned about is, like Rafael, we were talking about wikis. People don't read with wikis. As I've had so many discussions with people about the most trivial parts of this conversation. Look at this application, because they don't read the documentation. And most of the people that are working on our projects are straight out from a tutorial or a CS169 course or whatever. So if we introduce too many complex methods and deviate too much from the conventions that Armando Fox and David Patterson are teaching, the people just get lost, and we end up doing a lot of support and have a lot of discussions, basically. But having said that, this is. I mean, we still shouldn't compromise. And if there's any solutions that are vital for us, and stuff that are important, we should absolutely introduce them. But it's a balance. We have to balance those things.
Yeah, I agree. The only thing that, anyways, we will need to write some sort of documentation for this, because I know for a fact that Armando doesn't teach this type of stuff. People comes here knowing vanilla Rails, and normally this type of new architecture for a Rails application is kind of new for the Ruby community. These patterns are very old for the development community in general. But I think that we should also write some sort of documentation for people get introduced to this type of stuff. Anyways.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
So in another note, I'm just finishing the refactor for this. But I want to know what you guys think about the way I am doing the service with handling the unsuccess or failure of the business logic in particular. I am just sending a lambda. I don't know if that's very complex for you guys. I can send the actual instantiation of the controller to the service and call methods to it, like I was doing in local support. John already have experience with this.
I'll
But I
pull
don't
up an
know.
example of the alternative.
Yeah.
Which
So I don't know if what you think, guys, about this.
Well, I think the way you're doing it now feels very close to what JavaScript is doing. So I'm quite happy for us to stick to this for a while, and and have this. I don't know, apply this to other controllers, and we'll see what happens. Have you been doing this much to local support? We can sort of compare the two projects, how both are doing when we apply both of these.
Well, I just did some. It was something that I didn't quite manage to finish.
Right.
I have to keep working on it.
Okay.
Because it happened the same thing that I have to get people on board on
Yeah.
this type of factor. At least because John is the one that mostly leads local support. He normally remote probably with
Right.
me, but I spend some time without working with local support. I
Yeah.
don't know if they keep working on this type of stuff. Yeah.
the
Okay.
alternate is posted here in the chat, but the long and the short of it is that you, instead of having a lambda, you have specific methods that it's extracted out of there and into a separate method. So like the bottom three methods linked here.
Yeah. I know. I mean,
Right.
I've seen this version of the service-oriented pattern, and I don't like this way really. I prefer what Rafael has done.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah. A tiny little concern about this is calling it on success. It feels so Java-ish. Everything is on. Can we call it just success and failure?
Yeah, cool. Sure, no problem.
It's like this is directly taken from Java. Everything has on in front of it. On this, on that. Yeah. small
So
things that
then
you
my
want more.
yeah. So my next step will be after refactoring this, as Thomas suggested in the comments, that there
Yeah,
are a lot of particular features. What I was thinking was to pick one of the feature and try to build it. And when I
yeah,
get to the point where the feature get working, I will try to refactor it to use these new conventions that
yes.
we are. So I have some rules when I need to extract a service object, because
Uh-huh.
normally you can do with just vanilla Rails, and I don't want to be abstracting too much. Um, so
Mhm.
one of my rules is if the actual controller is doing a lot of things, which
Yeah.
is normally the case.
In fact,
Yeah.
yes. We have the perfect story for that, and Sampriti was wanted to take that. I said because this controller is pretty. It has a lot of logic inside the controller right now, authentications
Hmm.
controller.
Mm.
So I wanted to refactor a lot of that out into service objects. I didn't have the time to do that. Sampriti wanted to do that. If you could pair with him and
Could you repeat what you said? Sorry, I didn't hear you.
oh, we have a story in website one that
Yeah.
is to refactor a certain controller called the authentications controller. And it
Yeah.
has a
That's
lot of logic uh, bundled inside the
hmm.
controller. So I think that's a good place to start because
Okay.
there are plenty. Yeah, it's a very complex controller, and there's like many different. One method is that that single entry point has many endpoints. So that's why I really want to refactor this because a few developers actually worked on that method alone. So there is actually two different ways on
Hmm.
how the logic is handled. So it's very messy right now. Sampriti, who's
Okay.
another developer, wanted to refactor that. So if you could pair with him on that, because he's very interested to learn about service-oriented architecture. So it's good um, you know to be able to share that knowledge with him, so
Yeah,
he can.
he's a good kid. He's a good kid.
Yeah, yeah,
Rafael, he's 14. You know.
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Cool.
yeah. He's very keen to learn lots of new things. So
Yeah, and he does.
definitely,
I mean, for 14 years old, he does pretty advanced stuff. So
yeah,
he's not a complete newbie in any way, or in any way. He's a cool kid.
Cool.
mhm. Yeah. I pasted a link on the in the chat for you to have a closer look if you want. Yeah,
Okay.
I can. Yeah, I can. Yeah, I mean, try to get in contact with Sampriti on this. I'm sure he'll be happy to do that. Sampriti has taken a lot of the refactoring stories, so I think that's a good place to start applying this new pattern. Like there's another helper at least that was written long ago and just sort of added to the end of the user's helper file, which is not very nice. And I'm not sure if you can use service. You probably could use service objects for this because this will be directly related to the user's controller and it'll also be used in the project's controller. By having it refactored into a service means that you separate, decouple it from any of the controllers. Yeah, so it'll be good to have as well, a service for YouTube.
I know that one for a fact. I know that Somebody's been working on it. He has a feature branch for this, and
Oh, okay.
so
So
we
he's
do
working on.
coordinate with him. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, he's working on that now. Application, he's okay. This one that's outdated. Never mind. Since my redesign, I don't think you need to refactor it anymore. But yeah,
Cool.
yeah. We have a couple of refactoring stories around. Yeah, yeah. So feel free to pick up any of those.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I will check that out. I don't know if you are going to work now on local sport zone. I will work on this at the moment, so I don't know if you want to prepare.
Yeah, sure. I've got
Okay.
half an hour, I think.
Brian, did
Okay.
you create this hangout?
Yeah, I created this hangout.
Yeah, I have a few
Um,
stuff. If you guys want to break off and do your stuff, I have a few questions. I have like 15 minutes.
oh, okay.
That after that I need to go, but I have some things that I would like to go over with you, Brian, if it's okay.
Sure.
Okay. I'm gonna start a separate hangout. Post in the chat.
Okay. Okay.
Talk to you later,
Nice.
Brian and
Yeah.
Thomas.
All right.
All
Yeah.
right. See you,
Absolutely.
John. See you, Raphael. Good
Yeah.
talking with you.
Bye. Yeah. Nice to
Um,
meet you.
Yeah.
I was thinking, I did some updates on that failing, on that branch of mine, on that pull request of mine about the workshop 2, the second workshop
Oh, okay.
in Bulgaria.
Workshop 2. Right.
And I just upgraded the whole app because I was struggling with it now
Yeah.
tonight, but also uh, Pete has been struggling with making stuff pass on Travis because we had 2.1.0 version
Right.
of Ruby, right? And so I
Mhm.
upgraded it to 2.1.1 because Travis doesn't work with 2.1.0. So I upgraded that,
Oh,
and
okay.
I have I'm just gonna paste a link for you to the I deployed a demo of this with this
Uh,
branch, so you can have a look at it if you want. And
right.
what I've done now is
Something went wrong.
something went wrong. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. All right. Yeah, that was strange. Oh,
Remote.
remote demo.
Mhm.
That was really weird. Hmm. Oh yeah, there was some migrations pending for some reason. That's weird.
Ah, yeah, that's for Viv's
Oh yeah, because
also
oh yeah,
comments.
yeah. So
Yeah.
try to reload that now.
Okay.
See if that works.
Do you need to restart the dyno or something? It's still
Hmm.
something went wrong.
Restart. That's fucking weird. You know for a fact that her stuff has been working, right?
Yeah, I know for a fact. It's working on develop. Develop.
I don't understand this now.
What does the log say?
Just gonna check it out.
Yeah, develop is definitely working. That's doing.
Oh, what the fuck is? Oh yeah. Okay, I got it. It's the text learning code HTML, the internationalization. What's that? What's up with that?
Oh,
Oh, because he automatically sets it to Swedish on mine. Okay.
no, there's nothing. Well, there shouldn't be anything wrong with that. No, undefined method variable 18 and what? That should be defined. Okay, so
Where is that defined? Where should that be defined?
it should have been in the view.
Hmm.
Which view is this? Static pages index. It should be defined.
Static pages. View static pages.
Uh,
Well, I don't see it defined anywhere. I just see it. But this is a path. Is this should this be set up in the routes file someplace or what? No?
uh, no, wait. Why is it there? There should be a variable being set. Huh. Is that the latest code?
Well, that's what I
That can't
thought
be
was the
right.
latest code. Let me see
Oh.
in GitHub.
Okay. Well. Let me. Uh. Hmm. Okay. Can you just the quick fix is just append this to the top of the file or something.
Sure. I've got a lot of failing tests anyway, so that's weird.
Well, what the hell did you deploy?
Well, this is only my private demo, so it's, you know.
Okay. Yeah. I'm trying to think. Okay.
But it
Layout.
should be someplace in an older commit on Cordelia. I mean,
It should. Yeah. It should be on repository. Repo. Cordelia. App views. Was it static pages index?
mm-hmm.
There you go. You're missing this.
What?
ID9 path equals to.
Okay, just paste
Yeah.
it in. Nice.
Okay.
That's fucking weird.
Yeah, it's in the chat. Oh, what did he do?
I probably missed that when I had some merging conflicts, you know. So.
Oh. Okay.
So that could have been that. So yes, and just let me just git commit and fix for value. Yeah. Well, anyway, what I did, if you have a quick look on my screen, I created this workshop 1 and workshop 2, you know, the description, you know. So I was thinking about adding the content of the documents that we set up for those workshops, you know. And I refactored, I changed the way we did this you know, social media workshop. It has 2 parts right now. The first part is to find an Instagram ID, you know, so because you can search for Thomas, for instance, you know, you can search for Thomas, and you get a lot of Thomas, but you can search for Thomas Hochman, and you get me, and you need to have this number, you know. This number is used when we make API calls. So this is the first one. We can just, you know, show them that you can extract in this, you know, and the teacher can talk about this a little bit, that we can extract stuff, you know, from the API. But in this one, we don't do anything with the code. Then we go to the second one, where we actually do something, and here he loads the default user, and the default user is the Cordelia account, you know, and then they are presented with this with a, you know, challenge to find in the code, you know, some stuff that we did before. But now we are like, we don't search for hashtags, so you can't, you know, we only display feeds, like profile feeds, so you can you don't have to worry about explicit content or anything, because you can know beforehand what stuff you like, that's, you know, what you publish yourself. So that's the stuff, basically.
That's cool. Well, the issue is the first one is still open-ended, and the user could have, you know, inappropriate content in their
Oh
username,
yeah,
like the
but
first one.
yeah, of course, but that's a matter of the teacher. He sits with the kids and he says, "So, do you have a Instagram profile?" And he says, "Yeah, my name is Linda whatever, Jones."
Uh-huh.
That's the name of that particular student, right? Or her sister or her mother or whatever, right?
Hmm.
If she doesn't have her own Instagram account, and
Okay.
so that's what she is searching for, nothing else. So, or if she doesn't know anybody with an Instagram account, the teacher tells her, well, search for Cordelia, or search for my name or whatever.
Yeah.
So you can kind of narrow it down heavily what you are searching for, and then you just use that number. I deem that this shouldn't be a problem now, with
Okay. Yeah, I mean, this is much less of a problem than before. I agree. Right, so it looks like we're still sticking with X-ray goggles then for the first iteration.
no, well, this doesn't work with X-ray goggles.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't work.
Now with settings, well, how are you gonna edit settings here?
Well, that's a problem. Well, uh, I mean, I can make that source code available, and I can make this work on a local installation. You can just open that a particular folder if this is downloaded to the student's computer, because it makes the call through JavaScript, so
Mhm.
everything is local. But you cannot do that. Then it has to have some sort of an editor online, but and this doesn't work with X-ray goggles, unfortunately. But if we get that IDE of ours working, that could be potentially, we could use that editor. But it's not much code.
Mhm.
This is anything below here is not supposed to be used. We can also dry that out a little bit. There's a lot of commented code. We don't
Right.
have to have that much. It's like three or
Yeah.
four lines.
I mean, yeah, of course.
But
That's backend stuff.
yeah, but this is what the students should be searching for, and these lines could be commented. Yeah, this could be removed. That's the search interface on that page. We don't have to have that. It's unnecessary. Uh, I mark that.
Right.
You know, because you want to make the change in the code, and rather than and then search something on this page. It's here we don't need
Mhm.
that. Anyway, so code-wise is not much. I kept it to the bare minimum,
Right.
actually. So so this is here on line 10. This is where we can, by changing those two attributes, we can change the way the page is displayed. The content on the page, and then of course by changing those the text.
Hmm.
I know I could have presented that for a group of young kids. I think.
Hmm. Yeah, I think this is a good way to do it. Although, for how they're gonna edit it through the editor, yeah, that's. I mean, can we present this to the client? That's a question. Since we have that client meeting like soon.
In 2 days, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we can present it. It's unfortunately nothing. There is no way that we can use X-ray goggles for anything that has to do with JavaScript. The only thing you can edit in X-ray goggles is dead, static HTML.
Okay. Good point. Right. Okay.
So I mean, if we want to go outside that box, we need to think in different terms.
Good. Yeah. Okay. I get it. This is good. In fact, it gives me more of an idea of what my ID should be doing, and I'm getting a better idea of what I should be doing for the IDE right now. Yeah, so hopefully I'll see more of this. I'll try and do something about the IDE tonight. I have a bit of time. I'm gonna do some quick work on it.
Mm.
Fix a couple of bugs. Yeah, and I'll try and integrate your workshop into my IDE as well. But again, I see that you've, created a full page just for the workshop. Is that what you intend to have? We're going to completely remove the application layout, and replace all the footers and headers and things.
I think. Look,
Have-
I think so. I mean, what what I've done here is I
Mhm.
created a page to describe this workshop, but the resources that we use, they don't
Right.
necessarily have to be branded. I think,
Okay.
I don't feel. I mean, you see here, I've been playing around a little bit. Fuck, why isn't this working? Look, it's not.
Refresh. Just refresh.
But why would I have to refresh? Why can't I go backwards? I don't understand that. Anyway, I was playing around with this ribbon here, you see,
Uh-huh.
to see if I can get something going, to place that on those, on those pages.
Uh-huh.
It could say Cordelia or something,
Yeah.
But this is just, well, it's not there yet. I'm not there yet, basically. I haven't found a good place, good way to do this. But yeah, I created this for workshop 1 as well. Just a scaffold for this, your first site.
Mhm.
So perhaps if Pete has something to you useful later on, we can link to that from this page.
Right.
And I was also thinking on doing 2 tabs here, one description for the kid and another one for the instructor, so because the instructor description could be more detailed
Yeah.
and more,
Although,
technical.
I think what should jump out of the page to begin with is the students and maybe a small footnote for a link to the instructor.
Mm.
I think we shouldn't burden the students with the instructor's, version of the workshop.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and Viv is here. You've been
Oh, hi, Viv.
quietly staying in the background. Yeah.
Hello, I'm just listening, learning, watching. Go ahead.
Well, we'd like to know what you think so far, Cordelia. Have you been in any of the hangouts that David and Pete were in? I mean,
No,
either you or
I actually
Thomas.
saw the one from Pete late, or I would have gone into it. David, I didn't realize that David was actively participating in Codelia. I know John is, and I know Marcelo is, and I think there's some new people that have been onboarded. Is David now part of the? Is he working on it? I know he did that
They appear to be
CSS thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
the CSS thing. I mean, they appear to be working on that CSS thing. I want to know what's happening. 'Cause
Okay, yeah,
I-
I'll try to catch Pete. I'll try to catch him maybe later on in the week or the weekend. I mean, to sit in, just to quietly sit in and listen. But I was just watching this. I think it looks wonderful. I think it looks really great. I just saw 2 pages.
Mhm.
So I guess, and I think that was Passion Workshop 2 that you were showing, the front page and then the second page. And I thought that looked great. I don't know if it's the same for Passion 1. I haven't seen that one, but those 2 look really good.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that it looks great, Thomas. Good job.
Thanks.
Now I'm getting a much better idea of what the ID should be doing. And I really want to know what Pete and David are thinking as well, because I have to shape the ID around these. Yeah, I only have till Friday to get it presentable, so I'm gonna have to make a couple of assumptions now.
Mm.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, yes. Well, okay. I still don't. I know that they've been working on CSS stuff,
Hmm.
and there is there was a link to his. Let's see, if I can find this. There was a link to something that they produced today.
Right.
Let me just have a Twitter, blah blah blah. Your Scrum files, GitHub. Thomas also comes. No.
Right. Should we actually just post this link into um, the Codelia chat, because this is becoming a Codelia hangout right now.
Yeah, sure, absolutely, yeah. Okay, no, that wasn't that. I don't know. Pete.
I'm surprised Joseph joined.
He joined Codelia today, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Master lesson 1, API. Lesson 1, workshop 1. Well, I don't know if workshop 1.
I mean, they had that
out a day ago. Could that be
document from? Yeah, I think we were talking about it yesterday. They had that little.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Mock-up. Yeah.
Okay, so let's see.
I wonder if they made any progress with that.
Nothing on that one. Let's see if decorking. Workshop 1. See what he removed old skeleton for workshop 1. No, it doesn't seem that. Some sample HTML for students. April 22nd. Old skeleton for workshop 1. No. Oh, I don't know what they've done today.
Right. Okay.
Okay. But I mean, I can scaffold some code for that tomorrow if we don't see anything from them for the first one. With this idea that I can go write something step by step for the instructor. Take some pictures, upload them, and I can create a small library like we did here on this second workshop. Just by changing us one word, you get a different background, basically, right? So that's a good thing, and then so I can do something like that, so a basic layout, some basic headers, and some basic images that they can use. It's not a hard thing to do, and I was thinking, just in order to be consistent, I used similar typography as Drew did in her initial workshop. I added some stuff like those were this typography, but I was thinking about using the same CSS for if I was about to do something for workshop 1. I would use the same typography and same CSS, and it's very simple. It's what is it? 61 lines of code. Nothing super fancy, basically. So we could do similar thing there. So they recognize themselves for the for the next one, and the one after that. We can continue to build upon this CSS, fill it with more content later on.
Yeah, that's a good start.
Because what I do on my pages is, I have the Bootstrap CSS at the bottom, and then I have the custom CSS on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I just overwrite those stuff.
Yeah. That's cool.
All right. So
Yeah.
how about that IDE? Are you gonna get this done?
The IDE, huh? Well, I know how. I mean, I have a very good idea of how my IDE can fit to your lesson plan, Thomas.
Mm.
Not sure about Pete. But the thing is, to actually get it done by Friday with the limited amount of time I have, not possible. Not my vision of it, at least. Because the
Don't you
way
have a
you have,
banking? Don't you have a banking holiday tomorrow?
no, should be Friday.
Oh, I thought
Friday or no? I think it's Monday. No, it's Monday.
I thought 1st of May was a holiday in England.
Was it?
It's in Sweden,
No.
unfortunately.
Oh, okay. I know I'm going to work tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but I know next week, Monday, I'll be off. Yeah, so I have a long weekend. Okay, so I know. Okay, let me tell you what my new vision of the ID is supposed to be. Right now, I have it as this, separate page in the, like this little sandbox page in the application, right? So when it opens, sorry, I'm just trying to upgrade to the latest Ubuntu version, and it's for some reason the internet's slow here. I don't know.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm slowly migrating. Anyway, yeah, so I have it right now in this sandboxed version, and whatever, it works. This works. Yep, but maybe this isn't an interesting lesson plan. What you guys have here is you have the entire page reserved for the lesson. So how I think I should integrate this is maybe I can have something like a persistent button hanging around at the edge of the screen, which can bring up the editor, which will go on top of the page. They can edit it, make their changes, which is isolated to a small part of the page. Maybe not the entire page, but maybe when you look at the source, say you want to make the changes here, settings, right? I can make it such that this div is only exposed in the editor.
All right, so similar to that X-ray goggles, right?
Yeah, something like that. It just sort of hides there, and you can bring it up and close it anytime, and you have the full view of the page you've completed.
Cool.
Yeah, I think that's actually a lot better than what I had before. So that's my ultimate view of it. We can have small sandboxed part of the HTML, which students are free to edit.
Okay, but what I feel when you tell me about this, by just exposing certain parts of the code to them, you add a level of complexity for yourself to get it working. I would say in the first iteration, if I think that could make it easier for you, is just expose them to the whole code, and then you can split that up to different.
To be honest, that's not difficult at all.
Okay, all right.
The way I think about it. The problem is, this IDE is starting to become too much my work. Nobody else in the project can, take over when I'm busy right now.
Absolutely.
I want to get John in, but he's obviously busy with other things. Nobody else other than John is capable of handling at present, this much JavaScript. You probably, Thomas, you're getting much better now, but you'll be off soon, and that's all sad. I don't.
Thank you.
I really need to transfer this knowledge to somebody else.
I would like to learn the IDE, Brian.
Okay.
I would like to learn the IDE, especially if it's in JavaScript. I think that I would pick it up. I mean, I'm not at your level at all, but I know enough JavaScript with the mobile apps that I've done that I think I would
Okay.
pick it up pretty quickly.
Okay, that's great. In fact, it'll be good to have somebody else working on the IDE because at the moment it's just me and John, but he's busy with lots of other stuff. Cool. Yeah. So maybe we can pair on that tonight. In fact, how we're gonna go about doing it.
Okay.
Right. So yeah, I mean, that aside, what do you think, Thomas? Like the idea of having it.
I think the idea is great. I think you should go
Yeah.
for it. That's
Cool.
exactly what I've been envisioning also, and that would give us out of a marketing perspective, you know what I mean, a business perspective. It gives us an upside to other, you know. I mean, we can start compete with X-ray goggles, for
Yeah.
instance, you know, in even though they are much broader because they can be applied on any sort of a web page, but still,
Mhm.
this is good. I love it.
Cool.
I love it. Before I
Yeah.
let you go, could you
Mhm.
tell me what the fuck's going? Wow, lesson one. Okay.
What?
Okay. Oh no, there are some failing, you know,
Yeah.
yeah,
Travis is
because.
telling everything you need to know right now. So that's good. A lot better than Pete's pull request, which is just failing mysteriously.
But what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna fix those failing tests, and
Uh-huh.
and yeah, and I'm gonna push it up. So if you can merge that in later, that would be great.
Okay.
If you
Cool. Yeah,
can, if you
I'll
want.
have a look at that and then
Mm,
try and build my ID on top of that.
yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I don't know what Pete thinks about it, but yeah, I think this is a new direction for the ID, which I'm much happier to take than this. Cool. Yeah, I'll be
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah,
Switch it in.
and again, we have to focus on experiences and not on technology. So,
Yeah,
and that's what we're trying to do.
absolutely. That's why. And now I've got a clearer idea of how lessons can be modeled.
Mm.
Yeah. So yeah, this is a productive meeting. But
Good.
yeah, I've got to start transferring this knowledge to somebody else. I only
But
have a couple of hours a day
yeah,
if I'm the only one driving. This
but
project isn't going
if
anywhere.
you and
Mhm.
Viv are gonna work on the IDE, I
Yeah.
don't know. Do you plan to do this tonight, or what do you want to do?
Uh, I'd like to do it tonight. Yes.
Okay, so
I have 2 hours ideally.
mm.
No, less than that, maybe an hour and a half.
Viv, are you free to pair tonight?
Yes, I am. Just let me know the time.
Cool. Now, would that be good?
Fine.
All
Or
right.
about
So
half an hour? Yeah.
stop this broadcast, and you guys
Fine.
hook it up.
Okay.
I'll be
Cool.
saying good night. Okay.
All right. Good night,
All
Thomas.
right. Talk to you guys.
Talk
Cheers.
to you.
Good night.
Bye bye.
Yeah. Thomas? Oh, never mind.